we've got a blind man on the driveway and a pair of Siamese twins on the patio. We are out of our depth.
Ah, Psychoville, a show many of you have probably never heard of, and you've only clicked this video link because the video art for it was of a naked woman. Oh, I didn't do that yet. Fuck. Psychoville is a deliciously twisted and morbid comedy series from the minds of two of the League of Gentlemen, Rhys Shearsmith and Steve Pemberton. And like the League, the comedy is dark, almost horror-esque in some places, and sits firmly in that mould of you either love it or you hate it. Okay, hate's a strong word, more so you just don't get their type of humour, and I can understand that. With all the different comedies out there, sitcom, mockumentary, studio audience-based, single camera, web series, machinima, or just plain shit, there's always bound to be some that you just can't connect with.
Have a plum.
Now, granted, most people in a situation like this will just ignore the show and hope it fades from the airwaves, never to be heard of again, while others, a smaller number, will launch websites and spend their days in their little communities complaining about how bad the shows are and how vile the human beings are who run the shows, be they the people who appear on camera or the people behind the scenes, not really finding that disconnect between the on-screen persona and the real-life person, while at the same time giving the show a tremendous amount of free publicity due to their inability to talk about anything else. Do you know anyone like this? You know, I think I've just found my first runner. The story of Psychoville is a little tricky to go into as it would spoil a lot of the plot, and both Series 1 and Series 2, along with the connecting Halloween special which you can find on the Series 2 DVD, have such a tight storyline that revealing too much would take away a lot of the mystery. The basic premise is that 5 people, seemingly with no connection from all across the country, all receive a letter on the same day bearing the same message. Series 1 follows these characters as their stories develop, eventually leading to a dramatic conclusion and a cliffhanger ending. Series 2 follows survivors of said cliffhanger as they try to get on with their lives, while being targeted by a murderous organisation which is looking for a specific item which they believe one of the characters is in possession of. And if you think that sounds strange, you don't know the half of it. The 5 characters are Mr. Jelly, an amputee children's entertainer who's also a clown? Back away! Back away! Back away. Originally a very successful entertainer,
Because I'm a fucking children's entertainer, or you think this is a tattoo?
a botched operation left him minus one hand and he allowed his life to slip into decline. He also harbours a deep hatred for rival entertainer Mr. Jolly.
I got your letter, Jolly. And I know what you did too.
I love this guy. He's loud, rude, and says the kind of things to the kids he's employed to entertain that should leave him blacklisted for life.
Not 100.
Oh yeah, how many is it then?
11.
No, 16. You're just out fucking spotting it.
But through some great pairings and Rhys's performance, he becomes one of the best characters in the series.
I asked for a bounty anyway.
Well, you got a topic.
Next is Oscar Lomax, a blind toy collector with a hate for deceased comedian Tony Hancock,
I told you not to mention that bastard's name!
who employs the services of Michael Fry, a thief who's been sent to help Lomax around his house. Lomax nicknames Michael Tea Leaf, slang for thief, showing he's fully aware of Michael's past, but this does leave you wondering whose side Tea Leaf is actually on. Lomax's main story is he's looking to complete his toy collection and embarks on a bidding war with the Crabtree sisters, a pair of conjoined twins who Lomax holds a personal disdain for. He also looks like a peanut that's been left out in the sun too long, but given the way my hairline is receding, I really shouldn't joke about that.
Is there anything from NASA?
No. NatWest?
Damn, they won't be told!
Moving on, there's Joy Aston, a midwife living with her husband in Bristol. Joy seems to take a small amount of, pardon the pun, joy in explaining the detail of childbirth to people. But where her character really takes the twist is she cares and looks after one of the practice dolls as if it were alive. Calling the doll Freddy, she feeds it, mothers it, and reacts violently to anyone who threatens her fantasy.
Don't you dare! You really shouldn't comment on things you know nothing about!
All this in an attempt to bring the doll to life, and also leads to the reveal that Joy has one of the more tragic backstories, and it's through Dawn French's acting and playing it straight that stops the role becoming one-dimensional, and really turns it into a proper character. It's also through the Joy scenario where the writers really have fun with some of the horror conventions. Oh, look at that. It's like the British version of Chucky. I love it.
It's a doll! A horrible stinking bag of rags!
Next up, David, a man-child who lives with his mother Maureen. David is fairly simple and has a weird obsession with serial killers, and works as part of a murder mystery gala where people stage murders and then try to discover who committed them. Kind of like a live-action Cluedo. One evening, David is fired for ad-libbing a pretty gruesome murder.
Hurry up! Shut up!
I did a bad murder.
Which leads to cross-wired confusion when Maureen finds his note, and thinking he did actually kill someone and is now being blackmailed for it, the two begin to hunt down and kill the members of the murder mystery club, hoping to kill off the actual blackmailer in the process. The two have a unique relationship, to say the least, and they also have the biggest character development as far as the main characters go, featuring in probably the series' best episode and some of the series' best moments.
Please welcome Miss Tina Turner!
And finally, there's Robert, a former porn star turned pantomime dwarf who's appearing in a rendition of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and is completely in love with the woman playing Snow White, and also believes he has special powers.
Do you like a balloon?
Oh, fuck off!
That might sound like a far-fetched handful, but this is one of the more fantastical sides of the story, managing to balance the horror and fairy tale elements really well. The genius in the writing is that they introduce characters who are grotesque and seemingly unlikable, but through the power of the performances and the writing, you get drawn into the world and really start to like them.
You forgot your, I'm presuming it's a head.
For anyone out there familiar with The League of Gentlemen, another show written by Shearsmith and Pemberton, as well as Mark Gatiss and Jeremy Dyson, this will come as no surprise. They managed the same feat there too, introducing the most bizarre cast to ever appear in a comedy series, yet you still somehow ended up liking them, and by the movie you were completely on their side. If you want to know more about The League of Gentlemen, I've already got a shout out on that. Over here. Shearsmith and Pemberton have the ability to take characters which could easily be fooled into thinking of nothing but one-off sketches and develop them into true three-dimensional characters. They're also not afraid to kill off characters, as evidenced in The League of Gentlemen when they killed off their most iconic characters, Tubbs and Edward, not once, but twice. And this is probably a good time to tell you that there will be spoilers in this video.
Well, motherfucker.
So if I had to choose, I'd say Series 1 is the better of the two, but only for one reason: a standout episode halfway through that was written as a way for the production to get a little bit more money. Unlike the US, British shows only run for 6 episodes, and in a sneaky way to get a slightly bigger budget, the producers approached Shearsmith and Pemberton about writing a 7th episode, but to spend as little on it as possible. They'd already written the 6 episodes, so they put together an episode inspired by Hitchcock's The Rope, which featured only 1 set and 4 actors, one of which is killed off in the first 20 seconds, and features only 1 cut in the entire episode. A secret thrill for me being the cast of Mark Gatiss in the 3rd role. The episode is made even better when you check out the extra feature on the DVD to see the amount of work that was going on while the camera was rolling to keep furniture and chairs out of the way to allow the camera to get a close-up of the actors. It's a great callback to their stage days, and it's just fun seeing the 3 of them on screen together.
Hold the knob.
While Series 2 introduced a number of great characters, my favourite is without doubt Jeremy Good. He's a demented librarian who obsesses over books, especially when they're not returned. The guy is freaky enough when dealing with questions from the public.
Is it 50 Great Coastal Walks of the British Isles Volume 2? Is it because that book's on loan at the moment, although it is overdue? I'll just call and see if I can't find out for you.
Oh, no, it's not a study book. It's fiction.
Harry Potter. It's Harry Potter. Harry Potter, Harry Potter, Harry Potter!
That's it. Thank you. No need to be such a prick about it, was there, dear?
But he's even worse when a book isn't returned.
Would you like me to look for it for you?
No, I wouldn't.
His story carries through most of Series 2, and there are moments where he is beyond freaky. Look at this scene where he sits in a little girl's room and scares her into trying to find a book her mother still hasn't returned to the library. What puts him firmly over the top, though, is the Silent Singer. The Silent Singer, again played by Shearsmith, is a figment of Good's imagination, and wears tights, has jagged teeth, sings silently using a walking stick, and makes multiple appearances through Series 2. Apparently the Silent Singer is something Pemberton and Shearsmith have been trying to get into a series for years, which makes me wonder what the hell goes on in their heads. Then again, these are the guys who turned their landlord, Peter Papalazarou, into a demented freak of nature circus master who steals women and puts them into his animals.
You're my wife now.
And that's Psychoville. If you're a fan of the darker type of comedy, you should definitely check this out. And if you're a fan of The League of Gentlemen, you should have already checked it out. Hands down, it's one of the best shows the UK's produced over the last few years. Not resting on its laurels, it takes great strides to separate itself from the pack, and if you allow yourself to grow attached to the characters, it can really shock you. Series 1 introduced the characters and ties everything together with a great mystery and a cliffhanger ending, while Series 2 continues the story and really lets you get to know these characters, and will even leave you feeling a tad emotional at some point too. Sorry about that, I kinda live on a busy street. You're fired. Oh what is that, like 10 times now?